I wouldn't be surprised. It's a bit icy this morning in odd spots. It's been fairly clear on and off through the night and been down to, well, my weather station says 4.5. Well, actually it says 0, but it went faulty earlier on. It's done this a time or two lately. It seems to sort of get a bit bunged up with data or something. And you have to restart it. And then you've got to reset the extreme, so it thinks it got sort of stalled. It acted like it was getting like 0.0 temperature because it didn't have a temperature to read, even though the actual weather station is working now. It's the software part of it. But I think, to be honest, it's getting. It sort of wants a complete fresh start. It's been running on and on almost continuously for 12 years, so it hasn't done too badly. It has got that's on 2 different laptops. That's on this second elderly laptop now, because I don't use my main one. Anyway, we're off to Ruswarp again. I think this is my 4th load, but I haven't got a very big load. I think I have 50, about 50 left, might be 51, which is still rather more than I would have particularly wanted. I'm not very sure. I'd have to check on that. Might be less. It seems a lot to me, because this is the 4th load, and some loads have been bigger than others. This time I've only got 10 in, but I've got 2 yows, cool yows, which I'm pleased for getting rid of them, because they all looked horrendous earlier on. I've never seen such. When you often get the odd 1 or 2 is very skinny, but they were all the same. They were all really poorly looking, but I did give them a fluke wormer. It's just the normal one I used, actually, with double dose. So it's not like a long-lived fluke worm. It still has the same withdrawal, which is only 8 days. But in any case, they seemed to improve after they had that, so that gives a big clue what was wrong. And the other group of yows, they've been done with a more a dedicated fluke worm that has a very long withdrawal, something like 56 days. So you have to be careful you don't do one with that. You want it to go. So they should be alright. I mean, I do them with. Oh, what are we looking at? I thought I could see a lamb. Oh no. It was just that sheep's tail. It just looked like a smallish lamb in there. Anyway, that's the sheep story. And it's going to be quite a nice ride down, actually, because I see the fog. We've been sort of in and out of fog for a vast hour or two. It looks to be fairly clear towards the coast, so we aren't going to be driving in fog. And it's the last week, 28th of November, and there's still a few leaves and things hanging on. So it's actually going to be quite a nice day. We were going into a rather more settled spell, to be honest. When you look there's a birch tree there with leaves still hanging on. That's quite unusual, because they normally shed leaves quite early. There, look. It's not like it was a young planted one, because they can sometimes get a bit confused. It's just after 9:30. So Castleton shouldn't be too bad. It's in the in-betweeny stage where the schools are done. Schools are done. Oh, you'll have to wait a minute there. I can't stop there. Oh, there's Mr. Chippy is in the Champions, unexpectedly. Even though I haven't got a particularly heavy load and I'm going to go this way, I don't like trying to get out of that Duke Wellington Road end. Something else it came up about sheep, and basically I think it was the farm assurance trying to scare people to join them, because there was this story was going round that from the this ambulance with lights on coming from the 13th of December, which is only like 2 weeks or so away. You were going to have a vet certificate to prove that you weren't doing something diabolical with your sheep, or they weren't lame, or haven't got brindle pest or something incredibly unlikely. Now, if you're in the farm assurance, you have what's called a health plan as part of it, and the vet looks at that and says, oh yes, you're worming them 3 times a year, you're giving them a vaccine once or twice a year, blah blah blah, and yeah, that's all good, and he ticks the box, so that's it, that's all you have to do. Except, you say, we aren't in farm assurance, and most sheep farmers aren't in it, because there's no advantage whatsoever otherwise. Because nobody's doing things horrible with sheep. It's ridiculous. It's easy enough to do your wormers and things correctly, such as they are. But anyway, that was the big thing, and it was going to have to be done by 13th of December, as you wouldn't be able to sell your sheep. And this was originated from bloody farm assurance, because they wanted people to join farm assurance. Anyway, the NFU's been, look, for once they seem to have actually been quite good, and they've more or less quashed it, or at least the absolute minimum, they've delayed it for a year. So in principle it's rather hard to argue against it, except that if you have the vet come out and look at your medical records or whatever he wants to look at, it's going to cost you a couple of £100, unless perhaps it's coming anyway for someone else. You might just fit it in and you might just tick the box for free in that case. But whatever, it's another £100 or so that you could have done without having to pay. Why would you have to pay that? What you previously did on the form which you sell them, you sort of self-certify that they aren't unwell and you haven't used a medication that would not still withdrawal period or something like that. Anyway, you just tick that box, because you aren't taking unwell sheep to the market, are you? You're taking your fit, good ones. And suddenly they were trying to make out that wasn't going to be good enough. But anyway, there's a fair chance that first is delayed for 12 months at least, and might get a further delay after that, or they might just do it altogether. Silly nonsense. After what happened the other day, I'm a bit more wary of people trying to overtake both me or oncoming vehicles, because complete bloody bonkers, man. He had a white van, very similar to that one in front actually. If I'm going to have an allergic reaction to white vans, aren't I? he just started overtaking me directly into the path of an oncoming wagon. I mean, admittedly, when he started, he probably couldn't see it because there was a bend, so it wasn't a suitable place to overtake. I mean, it wasn't a sharp bend, but you could in fact see it because you could see the top of it over the hedge. And then when he sort of nearly hit the wagon, he was literally inches off it, and then cut back in front of me as well. Well, that was actually alright. He gave me a fairly generous row. But I was fairly shocked, and to be honest, it looks even worse when you looked at it on the video afterwards. Whereas in fact, this video makes things look further away, so it should have looked less bad. So did I say I've printed my, I think it's called an AML form, and I'm not sure you have to print it 3 times or 4 times, so I've done it 4 times because the one that they hand out has 4 sections in different colours, but if you look on their website, it says you can print this copy out that you can download. And then 2 things spring to mind. The one copy is supposed to be for yourself, so do you still take that to the Mac? Because with the other, you give them the whole form and they post back a statement later and they include that with it. But you don't really need that because all you want is the statement. I think they send back 2 because I'm the haulier. If I find that they say, oh, you only need in fact 2 because you're the haulier and the owner, well, that's all good, isn't it? I'll just print 2. I don't like printing 4, it's kind of ridiculous, so I suppose you should have 1 for yourself. I don't like this thick fog. Well, the trouble is, there could have been a smash, you'd almost plough into it. It's not especially when you've got cattle in, or something else on the road. Something falling off a lorry or something, who knows? You just feel like I wouldn't say having to go faster than you really want, but you don't want to go too slow either, someone running the back of you, or trying to overtake you, which is almost as bad. I'm always in 2 minds whether it's actually better to have your fog lights on and not your headlights, rather than both. Because the fog lights are nearer the road, and in theory at least, that can sometimes penetrate further. But I don't really see why you wouldn't want your headlights on as well. Because with this at least you can have side lights and fog lights. Because it's funny, I've seen 2 lots of them. There was some way to Mull. The stop and go men, you don't see them very often nowadays. I think they're just doing drain gullies or something. I wasn't really looking what they were doing, I was watching what was going on. $178, big drop. That's a really big drop, because the cheapest I've seen, I had to fill up the other day at 184.9 or something like that. They're looking for somebody with these police vehicles. petrol there was it 154? Anyway, I'd heard that it had dropped quite a lot very recently, diesel. It's annoying, like I bought some red at 120 about a month ago. With hindsight, I didn't really need to buy it then, because I've hardly used any since. I knew it was getting low, and I was just starting to think, bloody hell, we better have some in, because I can't be running out before Christmas, because around Christmas is always a bad time. It might have been even more expensive by now. And might have been in short supply, because part of the reason diesel's extra expensive, it's supposed to be globally in short supply. They're having particular problems in America. I don't really know why, because you would have thought they would have other sources than Russia. Well, Russia used to export already refined diesel, not just oil. So we're not, technically at least, we're not using or getting any of that, although it's a bit debatable what actually where it gets to and from. Whereas you thought America might have been getting it from Venezuela or somewhere. I don't know if they don't have their own. But anyway, that's another reason the oil prices come down. There's some new deal with Venezuela, because they're a major oil producer, but the Americans have been sort of blockading them or something, so they're going to get some from there. So that's suddenly eased the market considerably.